and welcome back to AI News that you should know about for the week of July 3rd. I'm your host, Ashley Coffey.
And I'm Daniel Hill. There's a lot of AI news happening in the world. We give you the weekly highlights as fast as humanly possible.
And we have some exciting news to share. As we celebrate 1 year of bringing you AI news that you should know about, we're making a change that many of you have been asking for. Thanks to your support, we're moving from publishing once a week to twice a week. That means more AI news, more insights, and more of the stories that matter, delivered to you throughout the week so you can always stay up to speed. This week on the show, we'll be talking about Anthropic's Claude Fable 5 is back, and Gemini's personalized AI image generation is now free for US users.
We'll be covering all of that on our show today, but first, here's a quick word from our sponsors.
Daniel, do you know how two people can be the same age, but one just seems to have more energy, better sleep, and recovers faster?
Yeah, I understand that difference usually has to do less with your actual age and more to do with what's happening underneath the surface in your body.
And that's why I'm excited about the True Age test from True Diagnostic. You get your biological age, your pace of aging, and a breakdown of how 11 key organ systems are aging, including your heart, brain, lungs, and liver.
If you're serious about longevity, or even just curious about whether or not your body is aging faster or slower than your actual age, this is one of the easiest ways to find out.
And here's the cool part. They just don't give you the data. They give you personalized recommendations based on your results. Things like sleep, exercise, and lifestyle changes. So you have a clear roadmap for your health.
Right now, go to truediagnostic.com and use code AI News for 20% off your entire order. That's truediagnostic.com, code AI News for 20% off.
Welcome back. Let's dive in. All right, Anthropic's Claude Fable 5 is back. Anthropic is restoring global access to Claude Fable 5 starting today after the US lifted the export control order that disabled it in mid-June. Now, this is coming directly from Anthropic. Quote, the export control directive on June 12th came after the government became aware of a report in which Amazon researchers had found a method of bypassing Fable 5 safeguards, prompting it so that it identified a number of software vulnerabilities. In one case, the model produced code demonstrating how the relevant vulnerability could be exploited. Over the past 2 weeks, we have worked closely with the government and other partners, including Amazon, to review the report and evidence. Our testing confirmed that many less capable models, including Claude, Opus 4.8, GPT 5.5, and Kimi K2.7, could identify the same vulnerabilities as Fable 5 did in the report. When it came to the demonstration of how to exploit this single vulnerability, every model they tested could produce the same demonstration as Fable 5. So this indicates two things. What the heck was Amazon thinking? Did the researchers try the same thing in other models before telling the CEO to tell the government it was dangerous? And two, Anthropic, and in particular, the CEO, Dario, really needs to learn government relations a little bit better because most of the problems that I've seen that are stemming from Anthropic and the government have to do more with Dario's attitude rather than actual facts. And for example, the DoD debacle seems to have ended up with OpenAI signing almost the exact same contract Anthropic already had, just worded a little bit differently. And three, the administration's decision-making is just absurd. Full stop. In a normal administration, they'd actually have policy documents you could look at to understand under what circumstances they think models have a problem. With this, they just seem to make it up as they go, and the tools they use make no sense at all. If it is dangerous for cybersecurity reasons, why would export controls make sense to use? Daniel, what are your thoughts?
I'm actually really glad you picked this article because there's so many things here that are not really clear. I understood that Amazon was one of those companies that was part of the partnership between all the companies that have access to Mythos. So you would think that Anthropic and Amazon could talk, work out the problem, or at least share the problem without such a four-alarm fire being raised by the government and saying that this model should not be available. I think in terms of, like you pointed out, government relations, but also just communications. If you are working as part of the same Mythos project together, you should be able to communicate on where there's problems, where you see that there are potential major issues, and address those before it's released and before the government puts a stop to it.
Yes. And I saw an interview recently that hit the nail on the head really well, is that if we want to win this AI race, we have to work together. keyword together. And in the world of move fast, break things, and ignore policy, it's not possible. So I really do think we need a reckoning in the industry, especially when there's a small group of people that are creating the decisions that impact everyone else. So we'll see what happens here, but looking forward to continuing to follow the journey of Mythos 5. All right, next up, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be talking about Gemini's personalized AI image generation is now free for US users. Daniel, do you know how two people can be the same age, but one just seems to have more energy, better sleep, and recovers faster?
Yeah, I understand that difference usually has to do less with your actual age and more to do with what's happening underneath the surface in your body.
And that's why I'm excited about the True Age test from True Diagnostic. You get your biological age, your pace of aging, and a breakdown of how 11 key organ systems are aging, including your heart, brain, lungs, and liver.
If you're serious about longevity, or even just curious about whether or not your body is aging faster or slower than your actual age, this is one of the easiest ways to find out.
And here's the cool part. They just don't give you the data. They give you personalized recommendations based on your results. Things like sleep, exercise, and lifestyle changes. So you have a clear roadmap for your health.
Right now, go to truediagnostic.com and use code AI News for 20% off your entire order. That's truediagnostic.com, code AI News for 20% off. Welcome back. Continuing with our stories, Gemini's personalized AI image generation is now free for US users. By way of background, we've been talking over the past few weeks about AI companies charging more for usage to these AI tools as they try to show revenue and in the future become profitable. We've even seen what Google has done rolling out tiered pricing for its AI for consumer level usage. Now pricing seems to be going the opposite way, at least in the case of Google. Here's the news. Google announced on Monday that the Gemini app is now offering its personalized Nano Banana image generation feature to a broader audience. Starting today, all eligible users in the US can access the feature for free, a service that was previously only available to Gemini Plus, Pro, and Ultra subscribers. This means that the images can be generated based on Gemini's understanding of your likes and preferences without you having to specify them in the prompt that you write. Gemini utilizes data from your Google account connections, Gmail, Google Photos, YouTube, and Search in order to achieve this. The article on TechCrunch gives some examples of things you could do, where instead of saying in the past, create an illustration of me and my favorite things like coffee and baking, you can say, create an illustration of me and my favorite things. Gemini will pull photos from your Google Photos and know based on your interests from its profile that it has of you what those things are. And you wouldn't have to manually upload any photos or give it your interests. I think this is an interesting example. Ashley, what's your take?
I'm glad you picked this, Daniel. So I myself am a Google Workspace user, so I've had access to Nano Banana for a long time. My thought here is that I am getting exhausted from the back and forth that AI companies are doing with pricing and usage limitations. It's making my job as a consultant much more difficult to be able to provide clients an actual hard number of what a process is going to cost. So I think, it's no surprise that ChatGPT came out November 30th, 2022. We're 4 years away from now. We've moved from the progression of let's get everyone comfortable with it and using it, and then let's move to usage limitations. I think that is problematic. We should start with usage limitations. That way it helps people understand kind of the bounding boxes they have to work with to do what they want to do. And I think that's why we're seeing so many use case failures about either token usage being out the wazoo or organizations just failing altogether on implementing AI. I like that they're expanding it to a free audience, but also I want to dig deeper into this from a policy perspective, because I've heard directly from Google executives, 2 of them separately, that have worked for the company for 17 years, that have said, if you care anything about the privacy of your data, do not use free tools. That is a signal to me. So the fact that they started with the paid tools and having access to all of that personalized information, great. But now that they're shifting to free, part of me wonders what the trade-off is here. So I encourage people to maybe dive in a little bit deeper into the terms of service and privacy to really understand to its fullest extent, even though you are getting this access, what does that cost you? Are you sharing your data now to train their algorithms? Who knows? We haven't dove deep into it, but I encourage you listening to do that.
I flagged the same thing for this conversation that we were going to have, because if Google uses my data for advertising, and I know they do, whatever ability I have to turn that off, I always want to do. But in this case, and I think I'm more open to it if it helps me with content creation or idea generation or other things, I could be more interested. But what I'd like about this is you can turn it on and off per app as needed. So you could turn it on for Google Photos when you're doing a project, but then once that project is done, turn it off. Turn it on for your YouTube search history, but then turn it off when whatever you were searching for is over. So to have that level of flexibility and customization for, to your point, security reasons or other privacy reasons, I think that's really nice that they give you that ability. But to your point, if you're getting access for free, there's a cost somewhere. And that's definitely a concern.
But also, let's be real. How many people are actually going to stop in the middle of their process and go turn off and then go back? Like, yes. I do that a lot with like notifications and stuff, and it gets. But yeah, I like that the option is there. At least that's a progress in the right direction.
That's it for our AI news you should know about today. You can find links to everything we've talked about in the show notes, and please connect with us on social media. Tell us what you think of the show. You can find me on Instagram, Threads, and YouTube at Daniel Hill Media.
We would love to hear from you. We're not joking. We love when we receive DMs from people who listen and say, hey, we listen to your episode with my team every week. You know, that means a lot to us to know that our information is making a difference in your life. So please continue to share that feedback with us. You can find me on Instagram at AshleyRCoffee89. That's ASHLEYRCOFFEY89, where you can sign up for my monthly AI newsletter at the link in my bio.
Thank you for listening, and come back on Tuesday for more AI news you should know about.
Daniel, do you know how two people can be the same age, but one just seems to have more energy, better sleep, and recovers faster?
Yeah, I understand that difference usually has to do less with your actual age and more to do with what's happening underneath the surface in your body.
And that's why I'm excited about the True Age test from True Diagnostic. You get your biological age, your pace of aging, and a breakdown of how 11 key organ systems are aging, including your heart, brain, lungs, and liver.
If you're serious about longevity, or even just curious about whether or not your body is aging faster or slower than your actual age, this is one of the easiest ways to find out.
And here's the cool part. They just don't give you the data. They give you personalized recommendations based on your results. Things like sleep, exercise, and lifestyle changes. So you have a clear roadmap for your health.
Right now, go to truediagnostic.com and use code AI News for 20% off your entire order. That's truediagnostic.com, code AI News for 20% off.